James Comey looking to boost the FBI's image after his handling of the Clinton email server probe, his testimony on surveillance of the Trump transition team. Comey has granted producers of a TV series access to the Bureau's New York offices, and he offered this reason for why he has.
We have to care what people think of us, because the faith and confidence of the American people is the bedrock that allows us to be believed, and by being believed, to accomplish the good that we try to do for this country.
Got it? Sure? I'm not sure I do. Comey also added the FBI, quote, did a lot last year that confused people. I did get that. Well, joining me now to discuss the latest in the Obama spy scandal, the Susan Rice unmasking investigation, and what we can expect in the days ahead is John Solomon. John is Chief Operating Officer of Circa News. Circa has done an outstanding job, a terrific job, John, on this story.
Thank you, Lou.
I want to start with your sources have been out in front in this unmasking probe.
Right.
We find out that the intelligence committees are now expanding their probe.
They are.
Why?
Yeah, your good colleague last week, Catherine Herridge, reported that, and that's exactly right. The intelligence committees, which started just looking at the Russia question, are now looking at the conduct that we stumbled into, that it's become very easy in the intelligence community for somebody to get an intercept from the NSA of an American that was never intended to be listened to or shared, and they can now read those transcripts, and that's what's called unmasking. And when we learned that Susan Rice was looking at those transcripts of the people about to take her job, the Trump administration, I think a lot of people became concerned.
And we now know, at least according to the reporting first of the Washington Post, that that unmasking request went to FISA back in July. This has been a peculiar sharing, if you will, on the part of sources of sensitive information. I think most of us are absolutely grateful to them, but they're committing potentially felonies here.
Yeah, listen, I think people in the intelligence community are very concerned. They want to keep the powers that they do need to fight real terrorism and national security threats, and they don't like seeing the possibility that these powers are being abused for political espionage and other things, and so they're coming out and talking in ways that you would seldom hear. You would never hear about unmasking 5 years ago, but right. I think the magnitude of what happened in the last 6 months of the Obama presidency concerned real intelligence professionals.
Real intelligence professionals, and at the same time, we have politicized intelligence agencies, their management, if you will, dominating those agencies and hovering over them, seemingly having their way with every issue, political issue, and exploiting intelligence powers for their partisan purposes.
Yeah, that's the real concern here, which is if you can't get intelligence that exceeds politics, you might not be able to solve the nation's national security woes or concerns. And so that is a really big concern. And we've heard a lot over the last 10 years about that concern. And I think this investigation, both oversight committees of the Intelligence House and Senate side, will dig into that issue more than we know. I think right now everybody's focused just on Moscow and Trump. I think this is going to evolve into a much different story before we're all done. Moscow
and Trump. We know that this story really started with the president, then President Obama himself. Right. We've heard from James Clapper, the head of national intelligence. We heard from John Brennan, Jim Comey, that there's not one scintilla of evidence to support those allegations.
Yeah.
What is this? Is this simply a ruse to distract, to deflect, and confound, or what?
Yeah, I think there is a legitimate concern that Russia tried to meddle in our election. It's probably not the first or the last election that Russia will try to meddle in. We should be prepared. That always is going to happen.
Sure.
The evolution of the story that somehow Trump was in bed with Moscow and they were rigging the election together, that's the part, at least as of right now, no evidence has really emerged, and even Democrats admit that. And so it's kind of unfortunate that so much of the focus is on that. When I think when people look at the civil liberties questions that unmasking raises, it's something that affects a much broader part of the population.
And Susan Rice, it appears almost certainly, did unmask American citizens, and did so with impunity and more than once. Where are the civil liberties advocates here? Why aren't they speaking out, and why aren't more people, particularly the people who are elected to preserve our rights and liberties, why aren't they expressing greater concern and anger toward agencies that have said the hell with the constitutional rights of American citizens.
Yeah, it's funny. In 2011 to 2016, before there was a Trump presidency ever envisioned, civil libertarians were raising real concerns about what Barack Obama was doing. He was loosening these rules in ways that basically eliminated your privacy protections. If you talked to someone overseas, you had a very low assumption of privacy if you were intercepted. And even in 5 days before he left office, they were issuing statements saying these are woefully bad. Then the Trump scandal emerges, and you haven't heard a thing from civil libertarians since.
Yeah. And that perhaps is not a coincidence.
I bet that's right.